Paul Davenport, I haven't seen you for I don't know how long.
Well, it wasn't so long ago, Jeremy. It was one of those rat lunches that we met a couple of years ago.
I was sort of thinking of you as a much younger man, Tint Street, North Adelaide, 5DN. What were you doing there? Refresh my memory. I can't remember.
What was I doing then?
What were you doing at the station?
A multitude of things, actually. I began as a production assistant.
Yeah.
And even panelled for you.
Yes. Yeah.
And used to go to lottery headquarters and report the lotto numbers for you after the 9 o'clock news.
Oh, we're always interested in the lotto numbers. Oh, my God, yes.
And then I got into producing programs. I started producing Sunday nights with Ken Anderson and then Father John Fleming.
Yes.
And in the last year, predominantly producing Ken Dickin and Nam Whitcomb and Jeff Medwell.
Golly, well, there's a body of work in there that is wonderful.
It certainly is. And also I did, for about the best part of 12 months, I did 2 mid-dawns a week.
Did you like that?
I did. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
But it wasn't, the pull of radio was not as great as the pull of God.
No. Funny about that.
So God won and radio lost.
In the end, but I must admit after 3 years I did actually go for selection through the Diocese of Adelaide and was accepted and decided that after 12 months I would start training.
Yeah.
But then I needed some time to sort myself out and I decided that I would leave 5DN and get some experience, try and get radio out of my system, so to
I've been trying for years.
But
Not
it never
that
quite
easy.
happened that way. After 12 months, I was working as the drive announcer in 7LA Launceston and really enjoying it, and the music director there. And I went, I'm not going back to Adelaide. I'm just enjoying it too much. And it was through a former colleague at 5DN that got me the job there, Stan Murrelwood.
I remember Stan Murrelwood, yes.
He was a program manager for 7HT and 7LA.
Yeah.
And then I was there for about 2 years, and then another ex-5DN personality or newsreader, Graham Gilbert.
Oh, yes, Graham Gilbert, indeed.
He got in touch with me, and he was news editor at 2HD Newcastle and asked me whether I'd like to join the newsroom there, and so I did. So I went there for 2.5 years and then came back to Adelaide and was certainly conscious of this calling that was still there, but I just felt at the time that maybe it was more to do with being in the media as far as representing the church was concerned. So I went and saw the Archbishop of Adelaide, and so he appointed me his honorary media officer. By that stage, I was working at 5AA, working with people like John Trenorden, and was reading the news following the Cardwell-Harvey report.
Cardwell-Harvey report. Yes.
That's right. But then after about 10 months, 5AA had a bit of a restructure.
Yeah, they do that, don't they? I don't know why. Well, leave well enough alone, I would have thought.
That's right. Well,
they like to fiddle, you know.
They do. It was a sales manager from 2KY in Sydney that came over.
Oh, boy.
And he wanted to save money. And so what he did was he decided that every person that wasn't married in the newsroom had to be retrenched.
Everyone, that's how you select the people you're going to keep as to whether or not they're married.
If you weren't married, you were gone. So I was given 6 hours' notice, and I just received the keys.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
It is amazing. John Trenorden brought us in and said, we're sorry to tell you this, but Paul and several other people in the newsroom had to go that day.
Because you weren't married?
Because I wasn't married.
Can you imagine what a good lawyer would do with that today?
Correct.
Oh, boy. You know, the best people or the worst people, I can understand a lot of things getting you the sack, but certainly not your marital status.
I know. We managed to get a couple of weeks' pay out of 5AA through the Australian Journalists Association.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, 2KY... in Sydney. I know them reasonably well. I did work for them for 12 months, doing midnight to dawn when I first came back from the country. And they're a very interesting, different outfit.
Well, it backfired on 5AA because they lost half their ratings in one survey because the word got out about what had actually had happened. They never recovered.
Well, it's a small business and it's a small town, and definitely. It's possibly even a small world.
Absolutely,
you have to be really careful. What you said you got involved in training for the church. How do you train for the church?
Well, you have to. It is quite a long process, and for me, having been selected, I just put that on hold.
Yeah.
And then after 20 or so years with the ABC, I decided to take 6 months off and come back to Adelaide. I was working in Wollongong as news editor there, and I went through a whole discernment process again. Over 6 months, I was interviewed by another priest to see whether I really did have this calling or wasn't something that I just wanted to do.
No.
But it was something that was certainly within me, that I felt this calling was there.
But when you say a calling, a lot of people in certain lines of work should be indeed called and driven by the same sort of thing, I think. You know, if you work with aged care, for example, I can't imagine that being anything other than a calling. But what's that feel like? I mean, you don't hear voices or anything, do you?
You don't hear voices, but you just have this general feeling that you have this calling, and it's something that's been within me since I was a child. It just that I want to be a servant of God and to be able to participate in what I can do to serve.
And you,
but then I had this conflicting passion of radio.
But the two are not incompatible, because there's a lot of show business in religion.
Definitely.
Do you find that useful?
Oh, well, I think I've had a lot of training for it, yes.
And you get to do dress-ups as well.
I do. Yes, well, I've got to take a funeral this afternoon, and I'll be wearing a black cassock with a white cotter and a stole for that, so you do dress up. But what you're doing is you're not dressing up just because you think it looks nice, but you are putting on God.
Yes.
You are putting on a robe.
And you're putting on... It all helps with the garnering of authority, I would think.
Garnering with authority, but you are putting on... You're not yourself anymore. You are actually representing God and His Son, Jesus Christ, in what you're doing.
Are you always comfortable that you standing up there representing God is a terrible responsibility?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, but we're all human and we all make mistakes, and we try and. The wonderful thing, though, is the art of forgiveness, and with forgiveness, we can then get on with our lives and continue. We are not perfect by any means, but we do our best.
I keep on seeing things like this recent statement. I can't remember who sent it to me. Maybe Les sent it to me, but it was the listing of all the public holidays and whatnot put out, gazetted by the state government, and they had said, well, December 25 is December 25. We'll just drop the Christmas part of that. We're going to drop Easter, we'll drop Australia Day, we'll drop Anzac Day, and we'll just have the dates. Now, gee whiz, there's a lot of argy-bargy where people do want to take Christ out of Christmas. They want to take God out of society. They want to take parents out of parenting. They want to take teachers out of teaching. It's like the bloke from 2KY who came to AA to save its life or regenerate it. They're always thinking they know better.
Correct.
Now, you can stand up in the pulpit and do an awful lot of good, by calling this sort of stuff out, I guess, as I'm calling it out here. I mean, you've got a different venue.
Yeah, I know we are battling increasing secularisation. We're living very much in a secular society now where Christianity is very much a minor. It's not the majority anymore. In the latest census, the number of people that profess to be Christians was 42%.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the latest census had at the top no religion. So then you had the choices under that. Yes. Whereas before then it was what faith you were.
Which is
and
perfectly...
Then down the bottom was...
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way I'd do it.
Yeah. So I think we're all inbuilt. We all have a spirituality. We're just emphasising too much on our physical side, our materialistic side, and we're not concentrating as much as we could on our spiritual side.
How long have you been a priest?
13 years.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I must come and listen to one of your sermons. I'd love that.
Please do.
Which church are you at?
I'm at St Saviour's Anglican Church at Glen Osmond.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Paul Davenport, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Jeremy. It's been wonderful to see you again.